Okay, so this is how I prepare. I got this little, slightly bigger than a thumbnail of a very crude storyboard with my characters in it. And the way I like to put together an animation is I'll shoot each storyboard frame separately and then put it into After Effects and, adjust the timing and stuff like that. So here's my little crude storyboard. And here's my characters. Now, I need to adjust my lighting. I promise you I can sculpt, but I also promise you that all these silly little things you see on Robot Chicken and stuff like that are way harder to do than they look. Now, I also have a collection of action figures and generic weird stuff, and I have made a backdrop. You don't have to draw a backdrop, but you can. And in fact, you can just use paper animation and do it all completely 2D by taking pieces of paper and adjusting them like you've seen in the recorded lectures, the videos of some of the very first stop motion with pieces of paper. And you always want to use artificial lighting for this. I may get another lamp and add it over to the side for a little more fill light, as they say. So I'm going to come back after this Play-Doh has a chance to maybe congeal a little bit better so my big man Japan doesn't fall over when I try to pose him. And we'll look at doing stop motion studio on my iPhone. I've never used that before, but it has this feature called onion skin. So okay, so here's my final setup. I've added a light over here and let my Play-Doh. Now you don't have to do anything really epic. In fact, especially the good 2D artists may want to do something as simple as just, having a background on a piece of paper and some other pieces of paper with, your characters or objects on that. And you can still do your stop motion, the way you could see in lecture of some of the first ones with paper. So again, I'm just using this stop motion studio because it's supposed to be faster. So I'm just going to be testing that. Wish me luck. And anyone who wants to do these little claymation type things, warning, this is a lot harder to do. My guess is they don't use, they don't use cheap Play-Doh. I'm going to have to edit myself. They don't use Play-Doh when they do this. I have to make a little bleepy sound effect for that. So anyway, here I go. Okay, people, so I started this out without recording. So I'm going to go back through the Photoshop stuff real quick. So this is really fast. I've just been panicking because my internet's been cutting out. It's been crazy. Okay, so if you do the old-fashioned way and do a bunch of separate stills instead of using Stop Motion Studio, I'm just going to walk you through this real quick, even if you have not had the Intro to Computer Graphics class and ever used Photoshop. So the hard part's getting it to open. And this is going to be super fast. So we're just going to go to File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. And as it turned out, I didn't have my stills anywhere on this laptop. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. I would browse to where they were and then select the files like there. Like say these are my stills. I would select them and say OK, and then say OK. So it's going to make a Photoshop with these as layers. Now, obviously, this would make a really sick stop motion video. So what I'm going to do is open the file that I did import the correct ones into. And I saved it on the desktop as demo. So this is what it should look like, all of your images from your camera. So once you have that into your layers, you go to File, Save As, and save mine on my desktop. Always make just a folder for your projects and save them there. But for this, I saved it on my desktop as a PSD. So then, back in After Effects, I went to File, Import, File, and you have to select it first to get the options. But I selected this Demo PSD, and instead of footage, you want to select Composition, and then just say Import. So I've already done that. And then it puts them, let me drag this down and show you how my project looks. Puts them in your project window. You'll have a composition and you'll have all these layers. And if you just select all of these and then drag them down into this little thing that looks like movie film, it'll create a composition. So for now, since I'm working on these layers, and the important thing is it's putting them in the right sequence. So I'm making stair steps. I set this to about a second. So I could try and get like no fewer than 8 of these into a second of my composition. But see, this is the beauty of that stop motion studio. All of this stuff is, done for you. So how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost. Make this a little shorter. Okay, there's the first second. So I'm just going to keep going with this. It can look like pretty much the same size stair step. So here's 2 seconds right here. So this is about as much time as I've made pictures for to get it to look smooth. My little testing of Stop Motion Studio, I was just sort of going through it to see how it looked, to see if I wanted to recommend it to you guys. And I do, I highly recommend it. But do videos nicer than those ones. I don't even know what the frame rate was I had on that. Only something like 3. So I hope you like this project. And if my internet doesn't cut out, I'm going to show you how to go into Audition and get some music to import into After Effects. And to do that, you'll need a WAV, a .wav file. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. Now, when you do Maya animation, you'll be importing a bunch of TIFF files. You'll import a TIFF sequence, and you will have to adjust these. But for the most part, you can just take it in there and it plays perfectly because they're all the same length. You're doing 30 frames a second and it's all the same length, and you don't have to do all this adjusting. So I also, like in my little storyboard I showed you of my project, I had like a close-up. You can shoot those at the end, and then once you have your movie done, you can split it And put the close-up where you need the close-up to be. And we'll show you how to do that really quick. I'll show you how to do that if I get done with audition. No, I'll show you that before. I'm just panicking right now. I hate when internet's not working. That's awful. I'm thrown into the dark ages. Just so dark. I'm going to let this one go longer than 2 seconds just so I can finish this up and show you some more stuff. Okay, so to see how this looks, let me drag this down again. If you don't have this little playback thingy, go to your workspace and set it to animation. Right here at Window, Workspace, Animation, and you'll get the little playback thing. But let's just see. Let's see how this looks. Well, okay, or you can hit the space bar to get it to go. Oh, he's going backwards. They went in reverse order. That's so nice. So this looks like I told you wrong, but I didn't. I don't know what's wrong with that file. But you can see how it works. And oh, it is in reverse order. Look at these images. So check the Photoshop file. And make sure it doesn't go in reverse. Maybe I selected them in reverse. You probably did. Again, I'm in sort of a rush of time. So then what you'll want to do is go here and see where it ends. You can do this to increase it. Okay, so now here's the time. It says 2 seconds and 15 frames. So I can either right click on this and get composition settings, or I can go to composition up here and get composition settings, and I can change the name like demo. And then I'm going to change this to 2 seconds. It used to be 10 seconds, so keep that in mind. Pace yourself. But Stop Motion Studio should be able to do it all in one pop. And then here's how to render out your movie. Go to Composition, add to Adobe Media Encoder Q. Which also takes a while to load up. And after a minute, it will load up your After Effects file that it needs to render for you. And there it is, but you want to know where it's going to save. So you click here and you browse to where you want to put it. Again, don't save everything on the desktop like I'm doing. And already saved one. So anyway, but just save it somewhere where you can find it. And then click this arrow and it will start to render. Mine's going backwards. He's like moonwalking. Okay, so that is how to get the movie. Now, what you have here is a composition. You can put this inside another composition and do like a title page. Let's do that first, and then I'll show you how to do sound. So that's this demo. You put it inside another one. Make sure that's not the original demo. make sure it's really doing something. That's what I figured. The other one's probably here. Yeah, here it is. You just delete this one. So here's our composition. Here's our movie. So again, I could right click on this demo too and give it a little more time so I could add a title frame and give it just another second. Oh, did I not do that right? Apparently not. Oh, make it 3. I meant to add one. I'm telling you, I'm just panicking, afraid the internet's going to cut out again before I get done. Okay. So now we have this. We can just slide this to the back. And you can go to File, Import, and then you'll import a solid. Don't ask me why it's called a solid, but there you'll select a color for your background that you want for your title page. Say okay. And then you'll just take that and drag it down. Oh, fine. And then using the text is just the same way you would use it in Photoshop. But since I don't know how many of you have even had Photoshop, you'll just kind of want to start typing as soon as you get it here. So that's super little. So I'm going to select it and make it big. Make it super big. And if that's still not big enough, what you'll do is go here to transform scale and just scale it up. Oh, I don't know what font that is. But anyway, this is just a demo, so it doesn't matter if I use wonky font. And you can put the title of your animation and your name and FLMC 1301 and all of that. And so let's hope my internet doesn't cut out. I'll show you how to add some sound. Collapse this and open up Audition. So notice if I start here, I know it's like 2 seconds and 15 frames. If I start at the very beginning, it's 3, but you keep track of that, like in your first composition, right? Like 2:14. That way you know how much time to give it in Audition. So in Audition, you can go here and go to File, or you can right click again and do Import. And the safest way, if you know exactly what kind of music you want, is to just buy something from Amazon and download it. And if it's already a .wav file, then you don't. All you need to do is adjust the time, because you don't want it to just boom start and then boom get cut off. You want to let it fade in and fade out. So I happen to have had Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy because I like that part of Ren and Stimpy with the Tooth Fairy. And you'll see the same time things here. And so let's see, it's probably a minute. Same thing, you can hit the space bar. I think I've already edited this. Yeah, I think this is pre-edited. See how far along it goes. Yeah, so I've already done this one, but what I did was I selected that amount of time like this. And you can go to edit, copy to new, and that'll put it in your time selection that you wanted. Like this was much longer. I selected out a couple of seconds. So then, since you don't want it to just start in and cut out, you'll select an amount of time. Oops. Select a little bit here. You can do the end first. Oh, I don't know what I just did. You can do Control D to deselect. You can. That's how you deselect in Photoshop. So I have a lasso tool and I don't want that. I just want a direct select tool if I can find one. Marquee select, there we go. So you select out a section here and go to favorites. And this part we'll want to fade out. So you select fade out. So that's going to super fade out. So then you click anywhere to deselect. And you can, again, marquee select this part and go to favorites and do fade in. So then when you have the time and the fade in, fade out, there's all kinds of cool things you can do in Audition. But just to get you, so you have something for your animation, you'll go export file. And you're going to make sure the default is wave. So you're going to just save it somewhere. We'll call it demo. And say OK. Let's see if I have a wave file. I should have a wave file on the desktop somewhere now. Yes. Oh, PKT, I don't want that. Try this again. File, export. I hate being in a hurry. So I'm going to specifically select wave and say OK. Sure, I called it a demo too. Let's try this one more time. Let's just do a save as and see what it does. Wave uncompressed, fine demo. Oh, I see. It's because the last time I used this was in something else. So let me browse. Didn't browse to a good place for it. That's the problem. Oh. What is wrong with you? Oh, I have a wave file. Cool. So mission accomplished. Let's get back in After Effects and get this thing done before my internet does its thing. So here, I'm just going to right click and do import file and grab my demo wave file. And it should be the perfect length. I'm going to select it and drag it down. Oh, it made a demo 3. I want you in demo 2. So now I have music with